Live from the hills of Hollywood. In association with Tokyo Productions. It is time for the top 3 Western communist shills in China to be busted and exposed. Who is number 1? Let's find out right now with your host. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Cooper.
Enough. Welcome to Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. And who is going to be the winner of the Black Silver Microphone Award? It's like the Hollywood Oscar for the worst CCP Western communist shill. Lives in China, who near enough dislikes everything about the West and absolutely loves everything about China, who will be sarcastic, impolite, and doesn't have the attention to detail, and only covers the narrative that they want to do. Let's have a look at the contenders. It's a live show. First of all, we have Daniel Dumbrill. Next one is Jason Lightfoot. And at the bottom, the duo couple of Lee and Oli Barrett. Who do you think will win? We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, it's so nice to be here. So who is going to win the Black Microphone Award that I have in my hand and will be delivered to them for being the worst shill, the one who depicts everything wonderful about China? There is no problems in the northwest of China, in Xinjiang. The trains are the best in the world, and all that stuff. Well, at number 3, we go to these people right here, and they are the Barretts. The Barrett channel, you can find it by typing in YouTube. The father, Oli Barrett, has been in China for a while. I don't know his whole story, but I think he's married to a Chinese girl. And he was married before in the UK and brought his son over, Oli, who actually left school at 16 with no qualifications. Why? Don't know. They used to be number 1, but not anymore, because they always used to sit down on the park bench and just talk about Mike Pompeo, or how bad America is, how awful Donald Trump is, or Joe Biden, and how wonderful the foreign affairs in China is. Nothing's happening in Xinjiang. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there may be no evidence that we can actually physically prove, but there are enough eyewitnesses. Don't just do one. Do how many people have left Xinjiang and exposed to concentration camps with eyewitness reports. So, Lee and Oli, you don't win this, but you are number 3. I think it's time for another break. And welcome back. Number 2 is going to be this guy, Mr. Jason Lightfoot, aka living in China. Recently, he did a video about the trains in China and the trains in India. So immaturely, sarcastically, bad sarcasm, like a child, like a spoiled 10-year-old kid, he would say the trains in China are good because they have money, and the trains in India are bad. But India is a really poor country. So how can you compare the two? It was, you have just lost your viewers from India. At least the Indian trains, they are developing a high-speed train from Japan, and they say it's going to be ready next year, maybe the year after. His followers, who are not American, who are not Indian, obviously, would give him a thumbs down if they were, would be the Chinese bots. And he sits there sarcastically with an awful childish smile, saying everything in China is great. Yeah, granted, a lot of things are, but don't criticize when you don't have the full narrative. Again, only doing part of the narrative. So, Mr. Jason Lightfoot, you are number 2. So, who is number 1? We'll find out. And the award, ladies and gentlemen, for the worst shill in China from the Western Hemisphere, the Western world, from Canada, is Mr. Daniel Dumbrill. He believes that he is God, all-knowing, all-wise, and all-wisdom. But on his last show, he did get busted by his own narrative. He said the Western politicians have a certain income. But how come they're millionaires? Well, here's a question for you. Xi Jinping, Chinese politician, leader, or the General Secretary, not the President, General Secretary of China, earns $22,000 per year. Pretty low. But he has a net worth of 1.2 billion. So, Mr. Daniel Dumbrill, when you say something, don't just criticize the America and say they are corrupt. All politicians are corrupt, including Xi Jinping. When you go on about the narrative in Xinjiang, in the northwest of China, and say there's no evidence. Yes, granted, again, there is no evidence, but there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of eyewitness accounts, which you don't go into, but I will. Go and speak to these people outside of China. I know you can't, because you'll be ousted out of the country immediately, but there's the eyewitness reports, the real people. There's your evidence in eyewitness. And finally, you keep going on about Hong Kong. And let me show you a picture of the protest 2014, 2019. And like you, yes, I was there both times, just doing my own thing. And 2 million people there saying that China broke the 1984 agreement. And the national law, they were protesting about being kicked out of the country if you say something wrong about China. And he thinks this is a good thing. And then the national security law came into effect, where many people in China, in Hong Kong, decided to leave. And America, England, Canada, Australia did open their borders to allow these people in, because their life is never going to be the same. So having this great freedom in Hong Kong, the first time I was in Hong Kong was 1994, when it was still British. I've been countless times in Hong Kong, and you can see a big physical difference in the last 30 years, a difference for the bad, and why people are not happy in Hong Kong anymore. So Daniel, for your narrative, and only doing not the whole truth, but part of the truth, this belongs to you, the Black Silver Microphone Award for being the worst Western CCP shill in China. Busted? Absolutely. Exposed? Well, how many views am I going to get for this? My name is James. Thank you so much for your time.